Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Showing. I'm Eve. I'm your host. So today we're going to cover, since it's October, again, we're going to cover the Saw franchise on 35mm film. I ran all these movies. I've assembled the prints. I ran them all on film, except for the last one, what was supposed to be the last one, which was in 2010. That was post-digital. That's when everything went digital that summer. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the running these movies. They were distributed by Lionsgate Films. At the time, they were a very small company, only kind of doing very small, like independent movies. I remember in the 90s seeing films distributed by them. I don't know if you remember the logo. The logo took place in space, and it had these stars, and they were forming, the silhouette of a lion in space. It was nice looking. And the only movie I saw of theirs in the theater at the time was American Psycho in 2000, and I think Mr. Bean. Oh no, that might have been Gramercy. But in the early 2000s, Lionsgate started kind of going mainstream, and they started distributing like a lot of movies. Punisher with Thomas Jane was one of them, but the studio went under a new revision called LGF. It was very ominous looking logo before the eventual like gate and all the mechanics opening up the door, and you'd see the very dark sky, and it would just say like Lionsgate. And now they also kind of like make generic movies. Like they branch out to making comedies and horror and stuff. They're mainly like horror and dark films. So I remember I ran the trailers for Saw, had no idea what the movie was, and then in October of 2004, that's when it came out, and it was a big surprise hit. It was a sleeper hit. It made a lot of money versus a budget of like I think $1 million, $2 million, I don't know. It was James Wan's like first movie. Now he's like this huge director. And we played it in the first weekend in a small house, or I think the first day or two in a small house, and then it shows kept selling out, and I think movie theaters had the same issue because they didn't know what to expect from this film. They just thought it was just going to come out and disappear, but no, it didn't. And every year from that point on up until 2010, Saw movies came out around Halloween. That was the new like horror franchise, to replace Jason and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. That was the new horror franchise we saw. And the tagline was, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. And, I wasn't personally a fan of these movies. I didn't enjoy torture porn and watching people getting mutilated and hurt and all that. But they were big for a long time. And the core weekend was obviously right before like Halloween. They would release it, or like a few days before Halloween, and that was it. It was just that one weekend where they'd make all their money. Movie would cost $2 million, $3 million, and the box office returns would be like $30 million, $28 million. Really high number. And they just pumped them out every Halloween. They were able to. So I actually still have a piece of paper that came. Pretty much every movie came with these pieces of paper. This is telling me the trailer. I mean, this wasn't the actual trailer pack that the theater would get. This piece of paper was specific to the trailers that had to be played, which were also distributed by Lionsgate Films. So let's see, Saw trailer attachment notice, and you had High Tension, Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects, and it would tell you the length of the trailer, what the movie was about, and when they were going to be released. And the Devil's Rejects actually came out in July, so that might have been the second quarter, third quarter. And you had the old logo on the bottom here, if you could see that, LGF. Now it doesn't look like that, as I was saying earlier. And yeah, so. And I still have a poster for Saw, the very original poster, which is really nice. And I remember all the posters that came after that for each movie. They were really gross. It just showed like body parts and laying around, and it would say Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw So, but that's pretty much it. Thanks again for watching. This is an 80s Die Hard production, and have a good day. Later. Bye.